This weekend marks the culmination.
Sorry.
Oh, Tyler.
Please don't keep that in.
Oh God, start as we mean
Yeah.
to go on. Okay,
You were saying?
I was trying to. This weekend marks the culmination of the wrestling calendar. Months of slow burn storytelling coming to a head. The past, present, and future of the business distilled into 2 nights. WrestleMania. But never mind all that because Pat McAfee thinks it's ass. I'm Ian Christopher,
I'm Sanjay.
I'm Daniel Stockwell.
and this is the Smark-Casual Wrestling Podcast. Emotions are high. Hatred. We still hate Pat McAfee and the feeling seems mutual. Envy. Roman Reigns and CM Punk openly admitting they're jealous of each other. Fear. Brock Lesnar, Dominic Mysterio, both terrified of very different monsters. So many feelings, but above all, excitement. Because it's here. WrestleMania is this weekend, and this is our WrestleMania preview. We're going to go match by match for both nights. We'll lay out our predictions. But before we go into that, how are you feeling generally? I think my excitement levels have started escalating now. It's always just such an awesome time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's always a good time to be a wrestling fan. I mean, the fact that we just got an amazing pay-per-view this past weekend as well, and then you're going to have what on paper should be a really good pay-per-view both nights this weekend. I've heard a lot of comments in regards to the build. Sure, the build's been questionable for a lot of things, but I think when you look at it on paper, it's a damn good Mania.
I think the evidence is there as well from just last year. I would say it was similar, that the build was a bit dicey in places. And then I think for the most part, the matches delivered. It was like, it'll be all right on the night kind of thing.
Well excited. It's that time. It's that time where it's WrestleMania season. You know, that weekend's going to be full of awesome stuff. And like Dan, you said, on paper, it's definitely powered. Stars all over. There's good matches, lineups, and it's just most of the matches you just can't really predict who's going to win. So it's kind of those matches that are really exciting. You're just looking forward to watching all of them almost.
A really good point, actually, because up and down the card, you could make a case for everyone winning. Last year, you knew Cena was winning. You knew Jay was winning, I think. It's like, yeah, up and down the card. I think it's just going to be a flip of a coin a lot of the time.
In some cases, and you know, we're going to go through match by match in just a second, and we're all going to predict who we think is going to win. And I sat and sort of jotted my notes down this afternoon, and some of the matches, as you say, I was just like, I can't call it. And some of them are, you know, some of the top of the card biggest matches we're going to see this weekend, and I can't call it, which I think can only be a good thing. In the order that I've got here, we'll go through match by match. Of course, there was a SmackDown and a Raw since our last Smart-Casual pod, but we'll just weave in any extra thoughts we've got as we get to each match on the card. I'm going to start, though, with something that's going to happen the night before WrestleMania starts, because we've got the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is going to be on the WrestleMania SmackDown, which is going to be on Friday night. Michael Cole said on Raw that it was WrestleMania tradition that this happens the night before WrestleMania, so I'm not sure what history books he's been reading. But do you guys have a prediction for anybody you see them trying to elevate with the Battle Royal on SmackDown? Traditionally, this is just everyone who didn't make it onto the card match. So I expect we'll see Matt Cardona, we'll see Carmelo Hayes, and any number of other sort of fringe superstars. Sanjay, do you have any thoughts, predictions?
No predictions, to be honest. I'm interested to see who will be in the Battle Royal. I do think Carmelo Hayes is quite a big number for winning the Andre Memorial, since I've seen Jey Uso winning it once. So they're not really looking at the Giants anymore, so that's a good thing.
And Carmelo won it last year, of course. That could be some good, could be something for him, at least after such a disappointing sort of end to his road to WrestleMania, where it doesn't seem like he's going to make the show proper, that he can maybe go back to back in Andres. Daniel, do you care about the Andre? It certainly seems like they don't.
the fact that you remember that Carmelo is the most recent winner of it, I couldn't have told. I didn't even remember it was on last year.
I only remember the hideous necklace with the decapitated Andre on it. That's the only reason I remember that,
Yeah,
is
vaguely.
because that was a story for a couple of weeks with him and Miz.
I mean, I didn't even know that they'd announced it. I already alluded to last week that they like making the SmackDown before they're sort of, and I've noticed that with pay-per-views as well. They're coupling a lot of them together,
Yeah,
especially when they're touring. But if they don't care, why should I? So Tamatonga.
that's fair. I think he'd be a good shout. Like they're telling
Yeah.
some kind of story with him and MFT. So are you saying Carmelo Hayes, Sanjay, just for the official record?
Yeah, I'll take Kamala Hayes.
Yeah. Okay, so Carmelo Hayes, Tamatonga. I've gone for Royce Keys. They debuted
Good
him
shout.
last week on SmackDown. I thought he looked really impressive. I wish they did his backstage promo sort of afterwards, and he got quite a big pop for saying he was from, I think it was San Jose, and I was like, oh, just do that before the match, and then the crowd will be invested a little bit more. But yeah, we'll move swiftly on from the Andre because it sure as hell seems like WWE are going to. And now we'll go straight into actual WrestleMania. We're going to start with night one. And I believe on Raw, they announced that this was the match that was going to kick off the whole WrestleMania weekend. And it's LA Knight, with the Usos. And they are going to team up to face Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and I Show Speed. So a big 6-man tag with celebrity involvement to kickstart our WrestleMania weekend.
It's funny. I was saying about how it seems a really unpredictable card. I think you can probably put 2 lines under the Usos and LA Knight. If there was the titles involved, I would say Logan and Austin, and Backlash or whatever the next pay-per-view is, sure. But to start the weekend off, give them a fun weekend. I will say, I think Speed will be fine. I think when he first come back, there was quite good response to him, and I think that's because he took that really nasty spear. It's like it's like of all the things to get you over with a wrestling crowd, it's the fact that you got murked in a bloody Royal Rumble. But yeah, it's just that's quickly died away because they've decided to sort of make him this, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing," reluctant heel. He's going to turn face by the end of it, and no one's going to care. And the Usos and LA Knight are going to win. That's my prediction.
See, if you're firmly Usos and LA Knight from Daniel, what do you make of it, Sanjay? What do you reckon's going to go down to kick off WrestleMania weekend?
As soon as Daniel said we're talking about the predictions, I had the same thing in my mind. Actually, that's one I predicted straight away. Usos, obviously, they're going to start off the show and everyone's going to get into the the happy moments of starting off WrestleMania. So that match, I'll see definitely Usos and LA Knight picking up the victory. Am I really interested in this match? To be honest, not so much, but I guess it'll be a good watch anyway.
Yeah, I think it will have that kind of sheen on it, won't it, of all the pyro having gone off and the big pomp and ceremony. So it will surely get a hot crowd.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a hot crowd for the first match. You've got 2 of the hottest entrances in the business, and you've got one of the most genuinely despised people in the business. What a way to start. I mean, if you start with Brock, there's going to be half the crowd cheering him, half the crowd not.
Right.
It's like, at least with Logan Paul, it's going to be a definite sort of heel and face dynamic. So I think it's smart to start with it.
Yeah, no, I think the same. And before I heard that announcement that this was going to kick the whole thing off, I was actually finding this match a little bit harder to call prediction wise than you two. But as soon as they said this is going to kick off the show, I was like, okay, it's the Usos and LA Knight, because they're going to, as you both alluded to already pretty heavily, they're going to give that crowd something with that hot atmosphere that will surely be there to kick off the show. So all 3 of us have predicted LA Knight and the Usos to pick up the win. I have a random question. You said, Daniel, that you think Speed's going to turn babyface. Do you think we're going to see Bron Breakker and Speed reenact the spear? No? I kind of personally have Bron penciled in for Raw the night after if he's good to go. But
Yeah, I think that's probably a good shout. I think Breaker, prior to getting injured, and even going forward when he comes back, and they've said it, Paul Heyman said it plenty of times, he is a future main eventer of WrestleMania. He'll be in title matches at WrestleMania. You don't waste his return, which people are going to be happy for and excited for, on I Show Speed and Austin Theory. He needs to come back with Seth Rollins. It needs to be a big marquee moment of well, cool, he's back. Looking forward to this now.
I don't think we'll see Bron Breakker, but we'll talk about the other ones later.
okay. To just draw a line under the I Show Speed stuff, they were talking on Raw about the clip of him getting shoved by Logan Paul, which wasn't a massive moment, really. It was nothing like the spear, but it did something crazy, like 400 million views or something like that, which shows the star power that Speed has with regards to social media presence. So I think it's, as you've said, Daniel, a smart move to stick this on first.
I think Speed and Logan, though,
Yeah,
you know,
that's fair.
yeah,
But I got a feeling that, yeah, they're going to try and get as many eyeballs on this as possible, which is why it's airing on the ESPN, before the main pay-per-view broadcast begins. So yeah, should do good numbers, I'm sure. The other match that they have announced is going to be in that first hour on the Saturday night is the unsanctioned match. Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu. They obviously got into it on SmackDown involving handcuffs. Not that they could keep them on very well, but there were handcuffs. There was Drew cutting a promo from inside a cell, which just made me put my head in my hands and say, why isn't this a Hell in a Cell match when the narrative is seemingly right there? I found this one very easy to predict. I've got Jacob Fatu to win this one. By all accounts, Drew is going to go off and film Highlander fairly soon after WrestleMania. I don't know if it's immediately after Mania, but it's soon enough that I just thought this is the perfect way to write Drew off however long it's going to be that he's filming. So I've got this nailed on as a Jacob Fatu victory.
I think they will pull out something different that we haven't seen. It's just a Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre. You can expect something crazy, something powerful happening. And I really enjoyed this feud. We were saying from the start, we know they're going to bring a lot of excitement to the match. It'll be one of those matches where you'll be thinking, oh shit, who's going to win, isn't this? But as you said, my prediction was Jacob Fatu as well. I think Jacob Fatu will win, but I think it'll be such a beat down and it'll be right at the end where Jacob Fatu picks up the victory. It won't be one of those matches where you can say he got the better hand of Drew for the whole match.
I think it's going to be a great match. I've got high hopes for it. I think it'll be Jacob. There's probably about 15% of me that could make a case for. You could easily make a case for Drew. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Drew. I think it's going to be Jacob. I think he's got more to gain from it. But it wouldn't surprise me if, him being involved with the Anoa'i family, that he's looking at it going, oh, we've got to build new stars, because obviously that was a big Roman complaint recently. Yeah, should be great. Easily the best match build of the card. I think the story for this has been going on the longest. And yet at no point have I ever been bored with it. A credit to him. I think it should be awesome.
Yeah, I echo what both of you have said. I think it's very telling that we were talking months ago about Drew and Jacob being inserted into that main event picture for, the WWE Championship with Cody and, as it turns out, Randy Orton. Obviously, that hasn't happened. Drew and Jacob have splintered off into their feud. Orton and Rhodes have split off into their feud. And there is only one of those two feuds that I'm excited about. And it's as you both said, it's Drew and Jacob. They're going to potentially burn the house down.
I think I said it last week. I think it was silly to move Cody away from this. I think it would have been a really good feud for him to be involved in, and it would have made all the sense in the world. And you could have added Randy to it.
Yeah, totally.
I just think it's been great. It's continued to be great. It's going to continue to be great, because I imagine this is only the one of the first two or something. There'll be another one. I imagine, down the line.
Another one with Drew and Jacob. Maybe they're saving the cell for later in the year, because I think it certainly warrants that kind of marquee match stipulation. So all three of us there for Jacob Fatu. And moving on now, the tag team fatal four-way for the women's tag team championships. We've got the Irresistible Forces, Nia Jax and Lash Legend versus Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus the Bellas ? And there is a question mark hanging over this match, which has kind of affected how difficult I found it to predict what's going to happen. But Sanjay, do you want to start us off?
I enjoyed this build-up as well, and we all did say that there's going to be something involving all the tag team division, because the women's tag team division is on such a high note for the last year or so. It's been amazing. We've got loads of good matches. With the Bella Twins, like you said, I'm not really sure what's happening with that. Are they going to be replaced with another team? Maybe we'll have a surprise tag team in there, but I think overall it'll be a great match. My predictions for that match is Lyra and Bayley. Although I would want Alexa and Charlotte to win. That is my kind of favorite team out of them. But I think Bayley and Lyra are going to win this one.
We're kind of make good for Bayley missing last year's WrestleMania through no fault of her own. Okay. Daniel, how are you set for the women's four-way?
Yeah, really good. I've enjoyed the build. It's been consistent. Very similar to the SmackDown tag division for the men last year, which we've said before, but it's been really good. I'm predicting Nia and Lash to retain. I just think they're doing really good. They're the most interesting of the group at the moment. But that said, really can't wait to see just Alexa and Charlotte, and I hope they don't break them up anytime soon, because I really want to see them two going up against Bayley and Lyra. And the singles matches over the last couple of weeks have really sort of whet my appetite for that, especially the Charlotte and Lyra one. That was really good.
Charlotte and Lyra on Raw, I thought was a great match. It kind of snuck up on me as well, and it was just really, really good chemistry between them.
Yeah, I really hope they continue that sometime down the line. But for right now, I think it's gonna be Nia and Lash.
Okay, so I went through a whole sort of twisting path on my prediction, because I thought to myself, right, if the Bellas are out, then who's in? The rumor I read was maybe they were going to put the Kabuki Warriors in, being Asuka and Kairi. And it kind of got me thinking, actually, there's a chance here to do something that I personally would think would be really cool and really feel good. But it would require a bit of a fast forwarding of a story they seem intent on really slow burning. So I'm going to just say it because I like the idea, but it probably won't happen. So they're obviously still telling the story of Io and Asuka and Kairi. Kairi being in this abusive friendship for years with Asuka. I just think it would be such a good moment if they would have to delay it so it wouldn't happen. But if they said, right, we're going to give Nikki Bella until Sunday to see if she's good to go. If you then find out that Nikki Bella can't go, you say, right, we're going to replace Nikki Bella. We're going to replace the Bella Twins with another tag team. On night one, you then give us Io and Asuka, which I don't quite know why it hasn't been announced yet. But give us Io and Asuka, have Kairi come to her senses and turn on Asuka in night one. And then night two, Io Sky and Kairi Sane come out and win the tag team titles, with Kairi being liberated and has a proper true friend again in Io Sky. But that is all complete plucking stuff out of the air fantasy booking. I don't think that's going to happen. Too many things would need to fall into place. So I will just say I think it's going to be Bayley and Lyra for the reasons, Sanjay, you've kind of said there, that it'll be a made good for Bayley after missing last year's WrestleMania.
When you started speaking there, I didn't think you were going to go the Kabuki Warriors route.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought you were going to go the Tiffany and Chelsea combo.
Okay.
And I was just in my head, I'm thinking, oh, Tiffany and Chelsea, but they're not there. I think Chelsea's foot might be okay. Why not?
Do you know what? I'd take that as well. That would be an interesting twist.
Anyway,
I'd much
completely
rather
left
see both
field,
of those than both of them and the Bellas, frankly. But if Nikki is good to go, then they're going to be in the match. let's move on from that four-way. 3 women's matches on this card. The second of those is the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. AJ Lee defending her Intercontinental title against Becky Lynch. We've had a couple of weeks where this has kind of slowed down a little bit. We've had some pre-tapes, some interview segments, a cool video package just on Raw this week. I'll ask you 2 questions for this, boys. Who do you think is going to win, and is this the end of the AJ and Becky feud?
Becky.
Seemed like a hard decision.
Yeah. I'm still not convinced she's going to be around too much. Whereas Becky, I think, will stick around a bit longer. Yeah, I'm just going to go Becky. Because why not? Do I think it will? I think the feud will end, but I don't think this is their last match together. I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a little run back in a couple of pay-per-views, but with someone or other people involved.
As part of a larger
Yeah,
picture.
like even if it's Money in the Bank as an example, I wouldn't be
Okay,
surprised if they're part of Money in the Bank and they sort of revisit it slightly in that regard.
I could see that for sure.
But yeah, like as a feud, I think it is over.
I don't think the feud will be over. I think it's one of those feud that they can run it back again. It will be something. Becky Lynch just hates AJ Lee, so I think there will be something down the line again, where because you got Becky Lynch will be AJ Lee. That's my prediction. I do want Becky Lynch to win, and then if she
Okay.
picks up the victory, then later on she can brag about it, and then again AJ Lee would come out because, like Danny said, I don't think she's gonna be here for that long, so she might disappear and then come back maybe for SummerSlam or another pay-per-view down the line, and then probably come back for Becky Lynch again. I think there will be a feud carried on, but Becky Lynch will be my pick.
Okay. We've all 3 of us gone for Becky Lynch as far as the winner on Saturday night goes. I'm looking forward to the match. I think each time AJ Lee has gotten back in the ring, it's gotten progressively better and better. Becky Lynch is outstanding. She seems to be able to raise her game to find an even better level at WrestleMania as well. So I think the match will deliver. I think Becky will win. I can't call whether it'll be the end of the feud or not because I take both of your points. Like this match isn't stepped up, and I wonder if maybe they could keep it running so that at Backlash they could do a steel cage match or an I Quit match or loser leaves match if AJ's going to be gone for a little while. I don't know, but yeah, Becky Lynch to win for all 3 of
I
us.
suppose the only thing that works in AJ's favor is I can see a few more feuds coming off the back of that. At least in the immediate aftermath of Mania, I'm not sure if we have that with Becky, simply because I feel like the tag division isn't going to disperse immediately. So, if Lyra, she's already feuded with Vega and Lyra and Maxine. Forget how many people she feuded with us both, but most of the
Yeah,
people on Raw. So maybe that gives you pause to think of there's more to do with AJ. But I think it does come down to whether she's going to be there or not.
that could be the telling factor. And as far as Becky sort of fighting other people go, I had that thought while I was making these notes. And I thought, actually, I think Becky Lynch is going to win, which keeps her in the Intercontinental title picture. I want her to get back to the world title picture. I think that there's what's the word? There's like a glut of these top women in the lower card positions in the division, which is great for that lower card. But then there's the top of the card is starting to look a little bit thin, maybe. So I could see Becky Lynch slotting right back into that on either Raw or SmackDown, whichever it is. But not yet, it seems, because all 3 of us have opted for Becky Lynch to become the Intercontinental Champion again. Something that was a thrown together match, I don't think you could call it anything else, but that I thought really came alive, especially this week, is our next match to predict, and that's Seth Rollins versus Gunther. We can get into the storyline potential a little later, maybe, but for now, are you excited about this match? I know I'm really looking forward to it after Monday.
I really loved the intensity on Raw with Gunther and Seth. I really think that they probably kind of knew that they need some sort of fire, some spark to get people to think, actually, nah, this sounds like, there must be something behind it. It's not just a favor. It's probably really hate each other. So I'm really hyped for this match. Definitely going to be one of those banger matches you get, both top of the tier. So my prediction will be Gunther picking up the victory. And we were talking about Braun Breaker's return. So I said, I think Braun Breaker won't come in WrestleMania, but I do think Bronson Reed will be interfering and help Gunther pick the victory off Seth.
Okay, that would be good, sort of circling back to Seth versus the Vision.
Yeah.
So Bronson Reed costs Seth Rollins. Awesome. Daniel, how about you?
Yeah, I think us and others have probably complained about the lack of build for this and the lack of sort of storyline. It sort of popped out of nowhere. And this week, it sort of was this really lovely point of just going, you know what? Wrestling doesn't have to be complicated. It's fine. You've sold me. Like that's what it is. Like I hate the fact that people think you're better than me. I'm going to prove them otherwise. Okay, cool. I'm sold. And I mean, on paper, it was always going to be a great match. I think if Drew and Jacob don't have the best match of the weekend, no, no, I'm gonna go out on a limb. This is going to be the match of the weekend. I think Drew and Jacob will have the bells and whistles, but this is just going to be a really nice traditional wrestling match, and that's why I think it could be quite wonderful.
And who wins?
Gunther.
Any shenanigans or just beats him?
That's a good question.
It's difficult because they're both in such strong positions booking wise, aren't they?
I don't think there'll be shenanigans, WrestleMania style shenanigans. I think, if anything, it will be something unbelievable that catches Seth out, or it will be something really smart that catches him out. And I'll use two examples. If it's something smart, it'll be something that technically he can do, but is a bit like you dodgy sod, like what he did to AJ with the technical tap out.
Okay, yeah.
If it's something unbelievable, it'll be that Gunther catches him in a way that Randy Orton beat Seth years ago. And it was just that random RKO off of a curb stomp, which just come out of nowhere. But then you go, well, he's got to beat him after that.
Yeah.
So I just think it'll be it'll be a really clever finish, whatever it is. I don't think it'll be straightforward. And if it is shenanigans, it'll be the smart finish.
Awesome. I echo everything you said about the ceiling of this match quality wise. I think it is match of the year potential. And I can't wait to see it. I loved the segment on Raw on Monday. I loved that it took me on a little journey because when Seth first came out and Gunther hadn't even really spoken yet, I kind of went, oh, here comes another pull apart then. But they didn't. They kind of subverted that expectation and had Seth just go, no, there's your receipt. Now tell me why this is personal. And as you say, Daniel, just, well, everyone thinks you're better than me, and I can't stand that. As you've said, it's not complicated. They haven't overthought this at all. They've just literally said, yeah, it's personal because I don't think you can lace my boots. And the intensity, Sanjay, that you mentioned with them coming clashing head to head over this war, I'm salivating just as a result of this one segment. I also think Gunther is going to win, and I didn't quite know how, but then Daniel, you started talking about the RKO spot from years ago, and I thought, could he like flip him up out of a curb stomp attempt and catch him in a sleeper, and that's the way this
That'd be
ends?
cool.
I'd really like to see it. So yeah, all three of us going for a Gunther victory, potentially leading to more interesting things for Gunther down the road into the summer, perhaps, but we'll certainly talk about that another time. On my list here, this is the semi-main event. I don't know if it'll actually go like that, but we have a Women's World Championship match between Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. We spoke last week about the clash of heads that kind of threw this match into some doubt, at least for a few days, with Liv and Roxanne both ending up in concussion protocol. I'll hold my hands up and say I was a bit concerned that we didn't see Roxanne on Raw, which leads me to believe that maybe she was left in worse shape than Liv. But as far as the WrestleMania match goes, I think it must be still on the cards because they're having Liv be physical, and if she was in any danger at all, they simply would not be allowed to have her get involved in that way. And I thought their pull-apart brawl, I know we've been a bit sick of them lately, but I thought their pull-apart on Monday was really, really good, really strong. Liv looked absolutely deranged, which was helped by the purple forehead, and she seemed to have these bags under her eyes, which just made it look
I
like
kept seeing
now.
this thing. I kept seeing a thing where it's like she's been partying too hard at Coachella over the weekend.
Oh yeah, maybe she's been singing her new song too much. Have you heard the new song?
I wish I didn't.
Right? Oh, it was certainly music, wasn't it? But my God, I thought it was pretty abysmal. But there's no concerns do I have about her being abysmal in the ring. I think this has heated up just in time to be really, really intense. And I think Stephanie McCare's title reign needs it. I think she was a worthy champion and she's one of the best wrestlers they've got, but her title reign has kind of been lacking in standout matches and feuds until this most recent one with Liv Morgan. I'll chuck my prediction out first and say I think Liv Morgan's going to win. I think that I know when I look at the whole card, you don't want to change every single title, otherwise that part of it becomes too predictable, but you do want to change some of them. And I think this is an easy change for them to make. So yeah, I've got Liv Morgan to win.
Give it a good match. I like both women. As you said, I thought the brawl was really good. Actually took me a bit by surprise. I was like, oh,
Right.
and that's 2 weeks in a row where suddenly these two women have really picked it up. And I think, yeah, good on them. I want to say Stephanie. And then you reminded me of the music video, which makes me think there's a reason they've waited to release it this close to Mania.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with Liv. But the only reason is that music video.
You don't think she
I
does a
think,
live performance, do you?
oh, I hope not. I heard
I
it's her
couldn't
new,
even get that sentence out without cringing.
I heard it's her new theme music.
Really? It's the sting
Yeah,
at the start of that song sounds like her themes.
I think I think it's exactly that. So it kind of makes sense if it's her theme music, I suppose. Actually, as a piece of theme music, I like it. As a song, you know, to go up against the Charlie XCXs and the Dua Lipas of the world, it dog shit. But yeah, I think the song makes me think Liv's gonna win. However, I do hope it's Stephanie.
Sanjay, how are you looking forward to Vaquer and Morgan? This heat up for you like it did for us?
Yes, definitely. I think that brawl was great. They both look amazing, Liv and Steph. But I think the way it's been going, we had some bits where it kind of dried out, and then you had some segments with promos, and then but the last few weeks, I think they have kind of spiked it up, and it was a great show just to see them both getting riled up and proper going for each other. I do think this is Liv Morgan's year, 2026. She did say in one of her promo, and winning the Royal Rumble definitely going to be. I think my prediction is Liv Morgan to win, and her new theme. I think yeah, everything's just falling in place for her. So it all seems like it's just great timing for her.
Yeah, perfect timing for her, perfect timing for the feud to get real intensity. And as I say, it's on my list as the semi-main. And I think it's gotten hot enough that it conceivably could fill that spot on the card. And that brings us to the main event of the evening. And I think out of the whole weekend, this is the match that I'm least looking forward to. It's the WWE Championship match. Cody Rhodes defending his title against Randy Orton, who will be accompanied by Pat McAfee. I don't want to spend too long talking about Pat McAfee, but Sanjay, I know you're a big Orton fan. Hopefully this hasn't totally ruined this build for you, but how are you doing?
Pat McAfee just had to F it up. I mean, Randy Orton did not need that. It would have been. It would have been. I know it would have been a really good match. Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, two of the best. You know? And they got so much history there from Legacy days. It would have been a great match, but adding all this Pat McAfee bollocks and it's just and being on the main event on the card as well, I'm not sure how it will go down. I do think Randy Orton will pick up the victory, but I would like to say Cody Rhodes promos lately have just been so good. I just love the way he comes out with that fire and the way he gets the crowd boosted and the things that he says. It just makes you think that's the sort of Cody Rhodes that we would have wanted up against Randy Orton. But if it was directly just Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes just going back to back instead of all this drama with Pat McAfee. But I just hope it's a match where Pat McAfee can just, if he wants, just go sit on the announcements table, just chill out there, don't get too much involved. When you already kind of made it look a bit awkward now, this whole segment. So, yeah, well, not much to say about this match.
But sorry, Orton to win, you
Orton
think?
to win, definitely, yeah.
Daniel, how are you holding up with the Pat McAfee stuff?
There's a clause in the match that if Orton loses, Pat McAfee's not going to be involved with WWE going forward. All that tells me is Orton's winning. I don't think, even with this, I don't think it would be smart to completely wipe off McAfee going forward. I still think if you were to stop this now, you could probably salvage some of McAfee for future use. I hated, and I don't use that, I use that word rarely.
I'm
I
not sure I've heard you
hated-
use that word on the pod before, but carry on. You
No.
hated.
But I hated that promo on SmackDown from McAfee, the first half of it. And I actually found it quite offensive. Like, there was so much in there. And again, like, I'm a wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan for 20, 30 years. 30, Jesus. I'm doing myself 35 odd years. And there were things that he was saying that I'm just like, this is really disgusting. Like, you're treating us like crap, really, but giving us a product. So you're talking down to us and then trying to say, well, but you can tune in for 25% less. And if you're tuning in for 25% more into night 2, you suck and your idea of wrestling sucks. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, how dare you? It actually made me angry. It's made me angry again now. Like, some of the stuff on that night, on night 2 specifically, and on night 1, is great. And I really admire a lot of the people on that. Now, all right, it's just a character. You can probably say Pat McAfee doesn't believe this stuff. No one in the back believes this stuff. But the fact that you or someone has ticked off to go on TV and fucking say that, I was furious. And I've never been that angry or annoyed at something when it comes to wrestling. Dude, and it was all to sell tickets. It was all to tell you that it's 25% off when Randy's doing, which just made it felt more icky and disgusting. Honestly, I finished watching that and I think it might be the worst 15 minutes of wrestling I have ever fucking seen. I despised it. As you can see, it really pissed me off.
Well, yeah, I don't have too much more to add to that, which I think you actually put really eloquently, Daniel. And I would say that wrestling at its best can make you feel, even at the age that we are now, the wrestling at its best can make us feel. But that doesn't mean to say that you being made to feel that angry, like us being made to feel like that insulted, that's not the same thing, because you're not expressing anger there at the storyline characters that are, you know, assaulting your favourites or who are besmirching the honour of wrestling, whatever. No, this is you're being literally insulted. You are being flipped off and told that you suck and that you're stupid by Pat fucking McAfee. It was dreadful, as you've really eloquently put, Daniel. And the only thing that I will add to what both of you have said really well, actually, about the whole McAfee situation, is that not only is it insulting, not only is it infuriating, but it's bloody nonsense. It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
His point, and if you're listening and not watching, I'm using the heaviest air quotes I can find there, but his point was that night 2 is ass. I think that's a direct quote from Pat McAfee. Night 2 of WrestleMania is ass. But hold on a minute, Pat. You're you're not giving us a 25% discount for the ass night 2. You're still charging full price for that. You're giving us a 25% discount on night 1. So what does that tell you about which night's tickets have not been selling so well? What does that tell you about whose star power is maybe not as high as a Roman Reigns, as a CM Punk, as a Brock Lesnar, as an Openfemi, and all those other names that have stacked night 2? It just makes no bloody sense at all. I couldn't have loathed this anymore, but I don't want to just repeat the points that you've brought up.
This would have offended me 10, 11 years ago when Vince was in charge and wrestling was in a really dire period. This would have really pissed me off and offended me then. The fact that you're doing it now when, all right, it's been questionable, but you're coming off of the back of a really good period. It's just, yeah, disappointed.
Yeah, very much so. Sorry, Daniel, did you say Orton to win or Cody to win? I don't.
Unfortunately, yeah. And that
Orton,
this shit's going to continue. Yeah.
yeah. I've also got Orton to win. I think, like you said, Daniel, McAfee saying what he did about never coming back kind of underlines it for me that, yeah, Orton's going to win. I do have a hope in mind that if they're at all reading the room and reading and hearing this anger that's coming from genuine lifelong wrestling fans who are doing a podcast like this because we love it, not because of any other corporate reason, but because we love talking about this and we love watching it. I just hope that maybe, just maybe, John Cena can save the day. And I never thought I would ever say that in my life. But Cena's hosting. Could we get Cena come out and confront Pat McAfee and say, do you know what? This time last year, I had a celebrity by my side. And it was one of the biggest regrets that I have of my last year in wrestling. And I am not going to let you, of all people, come and fuck this up for everybody else. Attitude adjustment. McAfee's gone, at least from that segment, and then we just get the match that perhaps we all wanted to see to begin with. But that might just be a pipe dream at this point.
I think that is wishful thinking. I think Cena's just there to do the typical host stuff and then interact with Danhausen.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Mania Night 2, which we're just about to move on to, has only 6 matches, so that might be where we get the Danhausen segment, if there is to be one. But let's move on to WrestleMania Night 2, which is going to kick off with the match of the weekend as far as my excitement levels go. I'm so looking forward to Brock Lesnar versus Oberfemi. I said it last week. I think this build has been perfect. I think the only thing I would have changed is I would have swapped the last 2 weeks of segments we've had, because I think that pull apart last week was so white hot, and that this week they kept them separate for good reason. And we got Oberfemi on the mic, which I loved. I was really rooting for him to deliver a good promo, and I thought that he did. But yeah, I'm a fever pitch for this match, which I don't often say as a near 40-year-old wrestling fan. But Daniel, let's talk about happier things than Pat McAfee. How are you looking forward to Brock and Ober?
Yeah. I mean, that promo on Raw from Ober was incredible. It was good to hear him finally talk and get a good response. Yeah, to the effect that we were saying earlier about the Gunther and Seth match, none of this has been complicated. It's just I've got an open challenge because I'm Brock Lesnar and no one can bloody beat me. And Ober's this big beast. Come on, well, I think I can. That's it. Simple. That's all it's been.
That's all
Two
it
big
needs to
guys.
be.
That's all it needs to be. And it's like, you know what? Perfect. It doesn't need to be all the politicking that we got sometimes with Brock and Goldberg, and doesn't need to have all the extra, aura stuff that we got with the Undertaker and Brock. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Winner, Brock.
Wow, okay. Beats him clean?
Oh, no, I don't know why. I just Brock.
Okay.
That's hard, but I'm going to say Brock.
Okay. Sanjay, how are you set for Lesnar and Oberfemi?
So this is the match that I'm excited for the most. This has been the best build-up, the best, Beast versus Giants. Just Brock Lesnar, I'm a big fan of Brock's. This is definitely main event for me. Prediction-wise, I think I actually want Brock Lesnar to win. That is my count, and reason for that is because if Brock Lesnar is on his way going out, he could make Oba such a big star in this match. It could be such a wicked, awesome match where he actually gets to that stage where he's desperate to beat Oba now. And he could, Oba could, without even picking up the victory, could still gain so much from this match already. And he already has. He's got massive popularity already. And over the few weeks, as the pops are just getting louder, the entrance is just, everyone's getting really crazy about him. So he doesn't have to win the match, but he's already gained so much from this with being in the ring with somebody like Brock Lesnar. But if Brock Lesnar is on his way out for retirement, I don't think he would be losing and then losing his retirement match. I think he'll be winning his match in WrestleMania. And then when it comes to retiring, if it is Gunther, then that's got to be his match. So for me, it's Brock.
See, it's not just me.
Oh, so it's not just you. It turns out it's just me. I'm fully in the Obafemi camp. Yeah, I couldn't love this program anymore. I historically have not always enjoyed Brock Lesnar. There's outside of the ring stuff aside, which made his initial return a little bit icky. But I would say that Lesnar's performance of this feud in particular has been so outstanding. It's made me forget all of that. This has been my favorite Brock Lesnar program by a million miles. I really want Obafemi to beat him, and I have predicted Obafemi to get the win. It's one of my shakiest predictions, simply because Brock Lesnar so far in this feud has not stood tall, even once. I think every step of this feud has been Brock, whether he'll say it or not, being actually quite scared of Obafemi, but vicariously his own age, perhaps his own career mortality, of seeing the next guy coming up and staring him in the eye and chucking him over the top rope and saying, actually, I'm next. I'm the next big thing now. You can leave, actually, if anything. So that's the only thing that gives me pause to think that maybe Brock Lesnar will get the win. I think they've made Obafemi well enough that his momentum would survive losing, which I think if you'd have told me this match on paper without seeing any of the build, I'd have really shaken my head at that prospect and said, no, you're going to destroy Obafemi before he's done anything. But I think, as you've said, Sanjay, Obafemi's a star now. They've reached that level with him regardless of what happens. But no, I have Obafemi to win, but I have a specific spot in mind that I would really love to see, whether Obafemi wins or whether he loses. And that is, I want Obafemi to kick out at 1 from an F5. Even if that's not like the last F5, even if Obafemi was to lose, I want Obafemi to kick out at 1, because I think that underlines this is a star, and then Brock has some real fear to sell of, oh my God, this never happened. People have kicked out of F5s before, but to have that kind of statement, I think would just give me goosebumps and could maybe blow the roof off the place. But yeah, we shall see what happens on that front, whether I'm right or whether you both have predicted correctly that Brock Lesnar's going to
Also, I do
get the
think
job
that's not
done.
going to be the end of the feud. I think there will be another match
Okay,
because they're both announced for Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania.
okay.
I think there will be something along the line where Oba will beat Brock, but I just don't think it'll be WrestleMania.
I could see that. I think that would make sense of almost making sure from a booking point of view of, okay, Lesnar's going to get the win at Mania, but we are going to make damn sure that Oba is on the rise and gets something over Brock. I could certainly see that. Moving on to the second match that's on the sort of ESPN hour, and that is the 6-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Penta versus Javon Evans versus JD McDonough versus Dragon Lee versus Rey Mysterio versus Rusev, who stood tall on Monday night. Up until then, I was hovering over Rusev as a prediction, just because I thought, do you really want to do something with this guy that you brought back from AEW? But I think Penta's going to retain. I don't actually see any reason to switch this particular title at this particular time. I think Penta's only just recently got it, and yeah, this is Penta's for me all night. Daniel, what do you reckon?
Completely agree. But yeah, I think Penta's going to retain. Looking forward to the match. Should be fun. I think all of them are going to be, based on what we just saw on Monday, I'm really looking forward to it. Um, particularly Dragon Lee, he's on fire at the moment. So yeah, bring it on.
I loved the little back and forth between all of them as that match finished, and just the chemistry seemingly between all six of them seems really on point. So it's really, really promising after being chucked together.
I also think the JD McDonough inclusion is really smart as well. Like, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, like there was a Spanish fly with him and Dragon Lee, and I just went, oh, that looked killer. And we saw what he did last year when he smacked his head. He's willing to go there. Like, yeah. So yeah, it should be a good match.
Yeah, looking forward to
Hopefully
it.
he doesn't get injured.
No, it did, fingers crossed for all of them. You said Penta, right, as well, to win?
Penta.
Sanjay?
So before Monday Night Raw, I was thinking Dragon Lee prediction for winning. After seeing Rusev dominate in the end of that match, it's making me think, could there be another Rusev Day on the horizons? Maybe.
He was wearing a Rusev Day t-shirt a week or two ago under something else,
They were
but it was
teasing a bit
there.
of it. So from Dragon Lee, I'm going down to Rusev now. So I think Rusev
Okay.
might win it.
I think it could make him. That's why I was kind of hovering in the same direction. I think he's been so directionless since coming back. I think you could apply the same to like an Aleister Black, although he keeps hanging around in the background randomly. But they brought these two stars back from AEW under quite a lot of fanfare, and then not done anything with them. So yeah, I could see it.
He's kind of the odd one out, isn't he?
Rusev.
Yeah.
When they announced the match, I kind of thought, okay, well, there's the base, as it's called, for all these high flying luchadors. Here's your base, who's just going to get high flying move after high flying move because he's got the stature and the strength to base for them. But I'm excited for the match, which should be a good one. On to the main card now. We have the United States Championship. Got a feeling this might be one where we disagree again. But we have Sami Zayn defending against Trick Williams. Lots of back and forth in the build-up. Carmelo Hayes seemingly now by the wayside. Lil Yachty is involved with Trick. I certainly, regardless of what happens in the match, I think Trick Williams might get one of the biggest entrances at WrestleMania. That's a time where they always bring out quite a lot of, extra pyro and extra presentation. And I think Trick warrants that for his character and for how well he's done in the last few months.
I think Trick Williams just looks awesome. And like you said, his entrance is just one of those entrants that as soon as his music hits, everyone's already saying whoop that trick. So he's got really good momentum going towards this match. Sami Zayn, I've started to like him a little bit more since he'd become actually champ, because first I kind of, like I said in the podcast last week, I kind of felt sorry for him when
Yeah.
booing him, and I was like, no, come on, don't boo him, man. But then the way he just cut his promo and he said, I'm doing it for my fans, the people who believed in me and always stood by me. So that's one of the tough predictions to make. Sami Zayn or Trick
Yeah.
Williams. It's one of those matches you just think, I really don't know. I just couldn't put a hand on any of them. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to go with Trick Williams, because I initially did say it's Trick Williams' momentum going towards the top. It's just one of those things where you think you got a star here, and now's probably the time to just give him that spotlight.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. Like you, I found this one a really difficult one to call one way or the other. I've gone for Sami Zayn to retain, but I do think they're going to pull off this double turn now, and WrestleMania will finish with Sami Zayn having done something that is much less ambiguous, because the last couple of weeks he's kind of been treading the line of, I want to be a good guy, but I'm done this opportunistic thing or whatever. I think maybe he flat out cheats to win against Trick Williams and retains his title. And then as far as Trick goes, I almost think he's, dare I say, he's too big now for the US title. If they play their cards right with him, I could see him in a much more prominent place in and around that world title picture heading into the summer. But yeah, my pick is Sami Zayn and not clean. Daniel, what do you see happening with this US title match?
It's funny, you were talking about the entrance earlier, and I've got this vision. Do you remember they used to have the WrestleMania ring that took Andre down to the...
Oh my God.
And I just had this thought of like, do you imagine they just had like this rotating thing driving Trick down the ramp, just the whole and I was just like, oh, that would be kind of cool.
I'd
Anyway.
love it. Only if Little Yachty can be backwards riding a camel, like Bobby Heenan style.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, book it now.
If anyone does hear this, they are welcome to that
Yeah,
idea.
absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think I think Sammy's going to win. This week showed me that they're starting to get some traction with it, and yeah, make it a proper face and heel dynamic. Trick can win it in a month's time or 2 months.
Awesome. A match for me that I was really looking forward to, but has since gone off the boil in that they seemingly not really done anything with it apart from spoil something, and that is the Demon Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. I can't believe they've told us flat out in the match graphic it's the Demon. And I know we've spoken at length previously about whether we thought it was a good idea or not bringing the Demon back, but that pop would have been really notable. Wouldn't have been the pop of the weekend. That's not where Finn Balor is anymore. But it would have been a really nice, loud moment to start that match.
Did they label it as the Demon or Finn
Yeah,
Balor?
it's labelled as the Demon Finn Balor, and the match graphic he is there in full
Yeah,
face paint.
I've seen the match graphic,
Yeah,
but I might have been like fast forwarding, so didn't
no,
actually see the writing.
it's the Demon Finn Balor is how it's written.
That's a bit wank.
Wank is the word, Daniel. Yeah, absolutely. Like, just have it be a surprise on the night. I don't think I'm like overstepping the mark by saying that the reveal of the Demon Finn Balor has not sold one single extra ticket for WrestleMania Night 2. And I really like Finn Balor, but he's not selling tickets on his own. The Demon isn't selling tickets on its own. So just let that be a surprise on the night. Let that be one of the, oh my God, holy shit chant moments that they seem to want so much. It just baffled me that they've kind of chucked this away. And the feud itself, they've done nothing with over the past couple of weeks, apart from a couple of pre-tapes. They haven't interacted with one another at all, which I've just found really disappointing. I've got the Demon to win for reasons we kind of touched on a bit last week. That the Demon has lost, I think, 2 out of the last 3 times he's been on TV. And I just think if you ever want to use it again, then he has to get some of that power back. And I mean power in a wrestling sense, not in a paranormal sense. For God's sake, don't make him a literal demon, please.
I'd say this is the easiest one to predict. I could really hear an argument for every match on the card, except this. Dom is not winning. Yeah, it's weird. You would think that they would have a bit of a build, but it's kind of like the Judgment Day in general over the last few years. It's like there's so much history and there's so much detail and sort of within that group, story within that group, but they're hardly ever there. So it's like it's probably got the most sort of depth to their story, but they're just relying on that, I suppose. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame they haven't advanced it a bit more.
Maybe this is one that's going to continue. So they just sort
Probably,
of
I wouldn't be
simmered it
surprised
down, and
actually.
then Backlash will be a bigger, maybe demonless Finn Balor versus Dominic match with a bit more stakes, perhaps. I don't know.
But like, yeah, I think it's an easy one.
Okay. As easy as that for you, Sanjay?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's going to be Finn Balor winning, but I did mention on the podcast last time, wasn't a fan of him becoming the Demon for Dominic. But as you said, Ian, that would have been a much better thing where they didn't announce him as the Demon, and it would have been a surprise, because then you could imagine holy shit chance, and then Dominic Mysterio selling that look like, oh, what the hell is going on? That means I'm going to be facing off a Demon. that idea I would have accepted, saying yes, the Demon Finn Balor's back. But announcing it out of the blue like that, it was just one of those things that I'm a big Finn Balor fan, and then I really like it when he comes to the Demon as well. But that just kind of not made a joke out of it, but it just didn't bring that seriousness of the character. It's just thrown on the screen saying, yeah, Finn Balor's coming back, but he's going to fight you as the Demon. So that excitement wasn't there. But if they would have done a surprise entrance, well, why not? What's wrong with doing a surprise? They used to do them back in the day so much. Nowadays, it's like everything's announced before even a return. It's just like the pops used to be so mad back in the days, but I don't know why they don't want to do the surprise element anymore.
No, bizarre, absolutely bizarre, and a wasted opportunity. I did see a funny meme, I have to say, of Finn Balor in his demon makeup with like sponsorship all over it, because that's how like corporate WWE has become. So he had like Riyadh season on one of his shoulders or something. I don't think we'll see corporate demon, but there's an image for perhaps the future. Moving on to the semi-main again, as I have it on my list here, is the WWE Women's Championship. Jade Cargill defending against Rhea Ripley. I found this one tricky to call, but I have gone for Rhea Ripley. I think that Jade Cargill, it just hasn't landed for me in a main event world title level, and she's got her stable now, which is something. But yeah, I just think Rhea Ripley, I think I was talking earlier about the world title level being a bit thin on the ground, and having Rhea win here puts her right at the top of that mountain without having to go back into the tag scene, which is as overcrowded as it is. So yeah, I have Rhea to win.
I've got Jade. I think she's finally starting to get some traction, um, thanks to the little stable that she's got. And also, I don't know, I suppose just a side note is that Rhea seems a bit off at the moment. I don't know why. Like, I know that you've mentioned about intensity. I don't think it's that. For a while, it felt like it was a bit, what's the word? OTT, like almost like vampire-esque, in a sort of behavior. And it was very OTT in sort of the way she was talking, like, I'm going for
She talks
uh,
very slowly in her
yeah,
promos.
it's just it's going back to Judgment Day when Edge was running it, that sort of thing. And then the in-ring stuff, she keeps like losing grip of people. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I keep hearing that maybe she's doing different weight trainings, something to do with the weight or something.
She seems to have like slimmed her
She's
figure
definitely
down
slimmed down.
somewhat. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe, different training regimen or something. But I still think Jade.
Sanjay, how about you? Jade or Rhea?
So I think Jade Cargill will win. This would have been one of my matches that I would be really excited for, because Jade versus Rhea, the names are big enough. But like I said in the podcast before, I'm not a fan of the way the build up has happened, and especially not a fan of Jade with, getting this new faction over. So I just think Rhea Ripley, after being with Io Sky, has softened her character a bit. But if it wasn't for that, I mean, the match, Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley, the match itself was such a great match. But then her coming in a bit more friendly and a bit more softer, fighting Jade Cargill, I thought if it would have been like Beast versus Beast sort of thing, Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley, two
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
strongest women in the division. And Rhea Ripley hasn't been that dominating as she was before. So that kind of makes it feel a little less spicier than I would have wanted it to be.
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Jade Cargill would have been my pick for the winning then, because it's a new staple, it's a new champion. I think Rhea Ripley could still do a lot more other stuff, but Jade Cargill, and another reason is Jade Cargill, I think she will be one of the longest reigning women's champion. I think it's just going to be a thing. Bianca Belair or Naomi, one of the two are going to come back and get the belt off her. So I just don't think anyone's going to beat her till then.
That's ready and waiting for her, isn't it, down the road for sure? And you've almost actually made me change my mind and change my prediction. Actually, I'm so swayed by your guys' points. I will stick with Rhea Ripley though, but I'm going to make a prediction over a year in advance. I'm going to say that next year, Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky, with Rhea as a heel who's found her intensity back and blames Io for losing it, I think that could main event a night of WrestleMania next year.
Definitely.
That's certainly talk for far off in the future. We've arrived at the main event of the weekend, and that is for the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. I will say that this was the match I found hardest to call out of all of them. I think I went back and forth several times because I think there's cases for either walking away from Mania with the title around their waist. Yeah, I'm really pumped for this match. I'm not as excited as I am for Brock and Oba, of course, but I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how this story plays itself out.
It's going to be close. And I can see why, it would be really hard to predict. I'm officially going Punk. And I think it was this week's segment on Raw that really sold me. I loved that promo.
Me too.
I loved it. And I think I liked it more than the week before. The one, it was just, and I think it come at the right time as well. Going back to what I was saying earlier about that McAfee promo, to then get that promo from Punk on Raw, I was just smiling and it made me feel warm. And it was just such a great promo. It was really lovely. Yeah. So I think that's going to sell me on Punk.
Any shenanigans, any bloodline stuff, dare I say?
No, I think they'll keep it quite tidy, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll have the announcer spot. They'll probably go into the crowd slightly over the barrier. That Spanish announce table's definitely going.
It's going. They usually have two for the bigger shows, so it might even be that one goes through one and the other goes through the other, just to sort of call
So
back the
yeah, what's the ring bell barrier? That's definitely going.
God, yeah.
But yeah, no, I can't see it being too full of sort of shenanigans. I think it will actually be quite clean, and I think you'll probably just get a nice handshake at the end. And both guys, hands up. These are your top 2 stars. Thank you for a good weekend.
Sanjay, who have you got, Punk or Roman?
I've got Roman Reigns to win. I've always had Roman Reigns winning since the Royal Rumble, but I'll say this has been the second best for me after Brock and Oba. Definitely best feud, best build up, and I loved every single promo they had. Loved everything, almost everything that CM Punk has said, and everything Roman Reigns. And I think this feud on this segment on Monday was different. Like they were speaking facts. It actually felt like they're actually speaking truth about each other, like the jealousy, the envy, and it's like. I think it's going to come down to a great match. I think Roman Reigns is going to win clean, and it's going to be one of those matches where they just respect each other in the end of it.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add really from what you two have both said. I've gone for Punk in the end, but it was as close to a coin flip as I think as any of these predictions because I found that really difficult distinction to make. But to echo what you've both said, I thought the segment on Raw this week was outstanding, and I loved how different it was. I think this is the word you just used, Sanjay. It was different. It was vulnerable. Like we don't see these superstars show vulnerability very much, and I thought that Punk especially, but Roman as well, they both bared a bit of themselves to one another, which, without them saying "I respect you," was what was that message being sent? Because for them to both admit that they're jealous of one another and that there's things about the other that I wish the crowd liked me as much as you, or I wish I'd been born into this dynasty. And I just, yeah, I was, yeah,
I
loving
think
that promo.
it's for me, we could look at all the different things that have happened over Mania and so forth, but I feel like it's going to be something I refer back to in the future quite a bit. Wrestling can be this. Wrestling can be this really beautiful, poignant sort of moment. Um, and yeah, I probably will find myself pointing to it quite a bit. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I totally agree. I will just say before we head to Quiztown. I've got to say it because it's popped into my mind just a moment ago, and now I can't think of hardly anything else. The Roman Reigns a few weeks ago did like something akin to a shoot on a show about needing more stars. Was that on Pat McAfee's show?
Yeah.
Pat McAfee come out and screw CM Punk?
No.
To be clear, like this would be the worst thing that could happen to finish WrestleMania, but the thought came into my mind and I could see it happening, and I'm sharing it with you guys so you can tell me that that's nonsense and that I'm just dreaming, right?
I don't think it's nonsense.
No, I don't say it.
All I want to say is just your mind disgusts me. Um, oh yeah, no. The thing is, I could see it happening.
Yeah, that's why it scared me so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's say that's a fingers crossed situation.
Yeah, please let that not happen. Whatever happens, we are certainly looking forward to a really excellent weekend of wrestling ahead. But we have a score to settle before we say goodbye, and that is quiz time. So last week, Daniel, you were unsuccessful in your attempt to dethrone me. So this week you get to set Sanjay and I a question.
I've set you a juicy one.
Okay.
Um, so I was quite curious last week because, as it stands, actually, still the time of recording, two of the champions from last year, Io Sky and Tiffany, are still not in a match, which is crazy. So I wondered, how many times does that happen? So
My brain's already hurting, but carry on.
a bit of admin. As before, I'm only going to look at both women's titles from when they reintroduced the women's title for Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky that year. Prior to that, I kind of consider it mid card. So both titles, with and they're both women's titles as well. Who has been in a championship match? They could be champion or challenger, and not featured at the following year's WrestleMania. There's 31.
Oh my God.
Sorry. There's 26, but 5 people have actually featured more than one
So from a title match to not being on the card
at
at
all
all.
in a scheduled match. Told you I've got your juicy one.
I don't even know where to start with this, Daniel. I'm presuming that the ones for this year we're not taking as answers, right? Otherwise I was gonna just say yes. I have none that I am confident of, so I am guessing from the outset here. And I've got to go first. And if I keep talking, that's buying me more time, which doesn't help. Becky Lynch, because of the pregnancy, is a guess.
Becky Lynch is correct. She missed 2021 due to pregnancy.
Bianca Belair.
Incorrect.
Oh my God.
She will be scheduled to miss this year.
But she hasn't missed it yet.
She hasn't missed one yet after being in a championship match.
That's cruel. I'll take it. Don't get me wrong. But that's cruel. Oh my God.
That's a coffee kick.
That's
Iain for the win. This can be a quick one.
that is. I don't have to give you another one, do I?
Yeah.
What?
Oh wait, no, because you got it
No.
wrong.
Got it wrong.
Yes, Sanjay hasn't given
was that
one,
it?
surely. Yeah, that was
Oh.
it. Sorry, mate. You've done all that work.
I have actually. That was. I'm going to come
That seems
back
like one you couldn't just look up very easily. So
No, that was
I'm interested.
I was curious, and then I was like, I might as well turn this into my question. It was a real pain in the ass to look into.
Oh, I was not looking forward to trying to pluck another name out of those. So
Rather than going, well, actually, there's only 26. I'll tell you some of the notable ones. Back in '92, Flair and Savage were both in the title match and didn't feature the following year. However, Savage was at the event as a commentator. Hogan wasn't there the following year after that, after leaving for WCW. HBK was our first double entry. He wasn't there in '97 because he lost his smile. And then he wasn't there after he retired in '99. '98, this year's Hall of Famer, Sid Eudy, wasn't there. He had left by that point as well. I'll give you a couple of like highlights. Batista is the one who has done it the most. So he was injured in 06, injured in 07, sorry, injured in 11, and then in 2015, obviously he just wasn't back because it was a small feature. The other people who have been multiples are Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, obviously HBK and Batista. And the only female one to have multiple entries is Bailey, who missed last year, obviously, because she was replaced. And she also missed
And the year
20.
before she won the title, I think, didn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was.
okay.
And she also missed 2021. She was on the show, though, because she was getting beaten up, interestingly, by the Bellas. There's a couple of other interesting ones. Single matches. Edge and Del Rio were both not involved in any match the following year after their title match. And then the name that I didn't expect on this list, it goes Batista, Y2J, Edge, Brock, Seth, Goldberg, Bray. Seth is the only Shield member. The couple of interesting ones. Alexa Bliss didn't feature the following year because they opted to make her the host instead. Daniel Bryan wasn't on one year because he left for AEW by that point. And do any of you remember why Lacey Evans wasn't in a match the following year? She was in a title match at WrestleMania. I completely forgot.
Was that pregnancy as well?
Pregnancy as well.
And they did something weird with her and Ric Flair around that time as well, which was pretty gross.
It was actually in 2021, which is the year with the most instances of this. So it
Wow.
was Lacey and Becky both off for pregnancy. Brock's contract had expired. Bailey wasn't booked in a match, and Goldberg obviously had gone by that point. So yeah,
Amazing question. Glad I didn't get too in the weeds of all of it though, and I think I got away with one a little bit there. A quick flash roll up for the 1, 2, 3.
I suppose the only other interesting one, which you might find funny, is I've got Brock Lesnar in 2024 down, and the reason I've got next to his name is because he's a sex pest. Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for adding that very important word. Yeah. Oh dear, guys, that was a lot of fun, and we hope that you enjoy WrestleMania weekend as much as I'm sure that we will. But that brings us to the end of our WrestleMania preview episode of Smark-Casual Wrestling Podcast. Please keep liking and sharing and subscribing to all of our channels across social media. But until we see you next time, thank you so much, Sanjay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
And a big thank you for listening. See you next time.